Ahmed had just returned home from a long day at work. He longed for some rest, but the moment he sat down with a cup of tea, the noise began. The loud laughter, the excited shouts, and the sound of a football bouncing against the walls. It was the neighbors' children again. For weeks, Ahmed had struggled with the constant noise. Every evening, the children played right outside his window, their joyous voices echoing through the street. He often found himself irritated, tempted to confront his neighbor and demand silence. Tonight was no different. He sighed and rubbed his temples. "I have the right to peace in my own home," he muttered. His thoughts drifted to the Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, teachings on neighbors. He had heard many times in sermons that a Muslim should be kind and patient with his neighbors. The Prophet, peace be upon him, had said, "He is not a believer whose neighbor is not safe from his harm." These words weighed on his heart. Was his frustration worth breaking this sacred teaching? Instead of letting anger take over, Ahmed decided to approach the matter differently. He stepped outside and greeted his neighbor, Mr. Hamza, with a warm smile. "Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?" "Wa alaikum assalam, Ahmed. Alhamdulillah, I am well. Please come in." Ahmed hesitated before speaking. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something." Mr. Hamza's face grew concerned. "Is everything all right?" Ahmed chuckled lightly. "Your children seem to have a wonderful time playing outside. It's good to see them so happy." Mr. Hamza smiled with pride. "Yes, they love playing with their friends." Ahmed nodded. "I love seeing their joy too, but sometimes, after a long day, I find it hard to rest. The noise gets quite loud." Mr. Hamza's eyes widened with realization. "Oh, I had no idea it was disturbing you." "I'm so sorry, brother. I'll speak to them." Ahmed shook his head. "I don't want to take away their fun. Maybe we can find a balance? If they could play a little earlier or in a way that's not too loud, I'd really appreciate it." Mr. Hamza nodded thoughtfully. "That's fair. I'll talk to them and make sure they are more mindful." A few days later, Ahmed noticed the difference. The children still played, but their games were less noisy, and they finished earlier. Mr. Hamza even invited Ahmed to join them for tea one evening. Sitting together, watching the children laugh, Ahmed felt warmth in his heart. He had upheld the right of his neighbor, and in return, he had gained a stronger bond of friendship. That night, as he laid down to sleep in peaceful silence, he thanked Allah for guiding him toward patience and kindness.